Hello, welcome to Earth Engine tutorial 120. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Earth Engine third-party JavaScript libraries with Python in the same script. This is probably one of the most exciting features that I have ever developed for gmap. And in the past, you can only basically use Earth Engine JavaScript Python API. And if you have some other script that's already in JavaScript API, then you need to convert them explicitly to Python so that you can use that in gmap or in Python. But now you don't have to. You can actually mix JavaScript and Python together in Jupyter Notebook. And this is what I'm going to show you today. It's going to make your life so much easier so that you can build on top of other people's work because so many scripts were developed in JavaScript and they are available on the internet. If you find something, then you can most likely use them directly without having to convert them. This will be particularly useful if you have some JavaScript that's kind of complicated and you have a lot of nested functions in that. It might be very challenging for you to convert them to Python. So now it's very easy. Just call the function directly and then you'll be able to get the result and display them directly in gmap. So first, let's go to the gmap website to download the notebook examples. So tutorials, and then my home internet is a bit slow, so bear with me. And scroll down to find number 120 notebook, and then click the upper right corner here to download this one to your downloads directory, and then you can open using Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook. So this notebook has a couple sections, and there are a couple ways you can use JavaScript. Basically, you can call the functions in JavaScript in this Jupyter Notebook, and there are a couple ways you can do that. I'm going to show you step by step how you can do that. Keep that in mind. This function is built on top of the Open Earth Engine library, or OEEL, and you need to install the package. So you can click the link to go to the website, and this is the website of the Open Earth Engine library. Essentially, it's a bunch of JavaScript functions that allows you to basically, we can think about it as a repository. You can add that one to your Google Earth Engine JavaScript code editor, or you can actually use that directly in Python. So what you need to do actually is to install this library, pip install OEEL, and besides this one, you need to install Git. So you want to make sure that you install that before you install the package. So you need to go to just Git download, and then here, if you have not installed this one, you need to install it. So whatever Windows, Mac, or Linux, and just install. Use all the default settings, you should be fine. And the next one you need to install is called Node.js. And again, these are all just one time. You just need to install it one time because right now I'm on Linux, so it's only showing me the Linux version. But if you're on Windows, it should be showing you I think other downloads. It should be showing you all the operating systems. So if you're using Windows, just click here, for example 64-bit, and then again just download and then install. Then you are good to go. So those are two packages that are needed, and it's just one time setup. You are done. You don't have to do that again. Once you have installed the packages, then you can just pip install using Anaconda prompt or your terminal and activate the Conda environment, and then install this one. Then you can come here to execute this notebook. So I'm going to show you here step by step how you can do that. First, let's import the library, and we can also initialize because we are not using the map directly. So if a map equal to gmap.map, this one we initialize. So if you don't do that, you make sure that you use gmap.e initialize, and then so this is the key functions how you can call the JavaScript library. So it's called gmap.require.js, and this one has two optional parameters: the lib path and the map. So the library path and also the map. So the library means where is this JavaScript library located. So if you don't specify anything, by default it's going to use this open Earth Engine library. So if you can come back to here, it has a bunch of functions. Basically you got directory, and then within each directory it has some functions or subdirectories, and these are all the functions. So for example, Cloud3, you can take a look here. Cloud3, this one is a JavaScript function. It has 2 parameters. If you want to look at what's the source code look like, you can click the GitHub repo link and then go to the GitHub URL. So here, similarly, you can go to, for example, algorithms, Sentinel-2, Cloud3. So these are the source code, and clearly you can see this is JavaScript source code. It's not Python, and has 2 parameters: max cloud, basically the cloud coverage, and also the S2 collection. What kind of S2 collection you want to use? And so what we're trying to do here is that, okay, I want to use this JavaScript function in Python. Can I do that? In the past, you have to manually convert this to Python, but now you don't have to. So again, if you don't provide anything, by default it's using the OEEL library, right? So what you need to do is essentially just import this one and then assign to a variable. So this variable become basically just the package. You can think about the library, and then beneath the library there are lots of functions. So here, for example, I want to use this Sentinel-2 surface reflectance image collection, and then I want to use the open Earth Engine library. I want to use this function, right? So what you need to do here is to lib doc algorithms .sentinel.cloud3. So look at the file structure here: algorithms, Sentinel-2, Cloud3. So dot and then parentheses. These 2 will be the parameters, and so this one essentially this is returning an image collection for you, and then can continue. So basically this one is JavaScript, and then once you get the result here, this one is actually Python API, right? So JavaScript, you get the result and then can continue. So basically you can train them all together. You can mix Python and JavaScript together, and so you can filter and then the size. So take a look, and this is how you can see if it return the result 7,156, right? So you can mix those 2 together. There's a lot of functions in here. You're welcome to try out any of those. You have parameters. You can provide the parameters to test the function, right? So this is one. This is basically the default JavaScript library that the gmap is using, but you don't have to just use this one because there are so many on the internet. Or you might have some JavaScript library that you have developed and you want to use, you can. So next, I'm going to show you how you can use other third-party JavaScript libraries so they can call the function. And the next one I'm going to show you here is this one. So I can copy the link. Let me show you what it looks like. So this is the grid.js, and so this one that was developed by Gina. So credits to Gina. If you want to check out his Twitter or his GitHub or his Google Earth Engine repository, there are tons of stuff that he developed and shared that are really excellent. So it's a good resource to learn from, and these are just 2 functions that I copy from his repository. And for one is to generate a rectangular grid, the other one is to generate a raster rectangular grid. And again, as you can see here, these are all JavaScript, right? And next one here, the last one is the testing function, is just to add the data to the map. And pay attention, map.addLayer. So this is actually the JavaScript function. The map represents the JavaScript, but later I'm going to show you how you can actually directly use this one. You can use the gmap, so to set the gmap so that you can actually add the layer to the map directly. And lastly, you need to export the function. So again, we have 3 functions, right? These names are basically the internal name. So you can think about here, this will be this one here will be internal, this one will be external. So you know, expose the function outside the program so that others they can call the function. These 2 functions do not have to be the same, although in general it will be very similar or the same, it's fine, but just let you know that they don't have to be the same. So basically the internal function names does not have to be the same as the external, but it's a good practice just to make them the same. So, and this is assume that, okay, this is the JavaScript library or the module that we want to use, so that we can use these two functions. So all we need to just pass in the URL. So let's go back to here. You just assign the URL to available, and then the same here, gmap.require.js, right? So the first parameter would be the library path, right? So you just pass in the URL, that's it. And once you pass in, it's going to actually download this one to your computer. So take a look. When I refresh, now you see this one, read.js, right? So if I open my computer, right, this is the JavaScript. That's because the package OEL can only run a script that's already on a local computer. So if you pass in a HTTP URL, it's going to download this one to the computer, and it's going to make some changes, especially you have some nested within this JavaScript. You are calling some other modules using the require function, then it needs to be making some changes. And for this one, because it doesn't, it's just 3 functions, it's pretty simple, so we don't need to make any changes. And the next one you can do is to use the doc availability. This one shows you what kind of functions available within this JavaScript library. So as I showed you earlier, it has 3 functions. It's going to show you here as a dictionary. The downside about using this like JavaScript library is that there's no doc notation. So if I type lib dot and then hit tab, you're not going to be able to use the doc notation. It's not going to show you the list of available options. So you do have to remember that. But there are not many of those. It's just type availability, and then you'll be able to see the available functions. Or if you're trying to call the function, you won't have the help documentation. So that would be the downside. You will need to always go back to the file, for example here, to look at what kind of parameters need to be input and output. So that's the limitation right now, but you get the power of the JavaScript and you can use that directly in Python. Okay, so let's come back here. Right, you have 3 functions. Now the next step is to call the function, right? So the library doc generate grid, and again come back to here. This is be the function. So x minimum, y minimum, x maximum, y maximum. So basically the west, south, east, north, and the dx dy represent the interval, and the margin, basically a small margin, if you want to set that. So you can take a look at here, right? East -180, south -50, 180, 50, and then the interval will be 10 degree is horizontal and vertical, and 0 margin x and y. So take a look. So this one here, we are calling the JavaScript function to generate excuse me, rectangular grid and return the result. And this one is a feature collection. So excuse me, once we have the feature collection, then we can add that one to the map. Excuse me. Take a look, and this will be the rectangular grid. If you want, you can change the parameters. As you can see, if I change the parameters, for example, to the south 70 degree latitude and north 70 degree, you see the rectangular grid basically expand. So this is how you can use the JavaScript function, call the function to get some result, and then you can add the result directly to Python using gmap. Okay, so this is how you can use the library through HTTP URL. Similarly, you can use a local JavaScript library. So assume, for example, this is the grid.js that we have been using, right? Or it can be a JavaScript module that you have developed and it's on your local computer, then you can directly use it. So similarly, but this time we are going to create a new map first, because we're going to testing some functions that that add data to the map. And so this time we're going to passing just a file path, so grid.js, or you can directly pass or subdirectory, but if you don't, it will be just under your current directory. It's going to use this one. And the second parameter, we are going to passing a map instance. So the map instance is the map that we created here, that so later when we test the function, if we add any data to the map, it will show up on here. Okay, so take a look. And again, we just use the libdoc availability. It has 3 functions, right? 1, 2, 3, generate the grid and the grid test. So if you come back to this one here, the grid test, it's going to generate a rectangular grid and add that to the map, and add a raster grid, add that to the map, right? So the map, if it's in JavaScript, that one will be the map in the JavaScript map. But now, once you set the map, if we run this function, libdoc grid test, take a look. So now you can actually, the map, you can replace this map. You don't have to change that in your source code or in your script. All you need is just when you use the required JS function, and you'll be able to directly load the data in here, right? And now take a look. These are 2 data layers generated using JavaScript, and also the add layer functions. We don't add layers here, right? You don't see me write add layer here because that's a JavaScript function. So basically it's interchangeable. You can write add map.add layer in your source code, and then you'll be able to actually use that directly, coding that directly in the mapping here. So this is how you can use JavaScript module that's on your local computer. And the last one I'm going to show you here, this is probably one of the most powerful way, because a lot of users have shared a public repository so that anyone can use. For example, the one by Gina, I highly recommend that if you have not checked it out, you should. There's so many excellent script for you to learn from, and there's so many functions. And so I'm going to show you here how you can use those functions directly within Python. So what we need to do is just passing this one here. So user slash and then the username, and then slash, this would be the name of the repository, and this would be the script under that repository. So and so this is kind of the user directory. If you're passing this one, you will need to clone the repository. So for example, if I run this one, because I already cloned the library, so it won't done again. But if you're the first time, you might need to follow the instructions to clone the library, otherwise it might not work. So you need to, so this one here, basically you need to know how to set that up. You need to follow the on-screen instructions to clone repository from Google Earth Engine. And so once you have done that, set up things correctly, then you can use libdoc availability to see how many functions available within that module. You can also go to here, for example, once you execute the required JS, and you should see the packages being repository being downloaded to your computer. So take a look at this. It's a long list of files, 152. So there are a lot of scripts, and there are a lot of nice, basically snippets of functions that allows you to do some analysis. Keep in mind, not everything is supported, especially if you're doing UI or doing some plotting. Some of those are only for the JavaScript. It won't be working for Python. So that's just want you to know. But if you're just simply doing some computation, coding JavaScript functions, libraries, then it should work fine. And once you get the result, you can basically use that result directly in Python. So this is, for example, if you want, you can open any script. Let's say, for example, this one, right? Double click and look at this. It has all kind of scripts, right? So as long as your functions using some kind of standard way, you should be able to actually code it. And this one is what I want to let you know. If your JavaScript has some nested function. For example, this is a module, and then within the module you are calling another one. So this kind of nested, and so gmap will automatically change this one to a local file path. I'm going to show you later, but for now let's skip this one and run this one directly. So right, again, we have this so many functions, and so if you want, you can go here, click I believe it's called grid here, right? And the one I showed you earlier is basically an example of that, but now you don't see the color because it does not have a file extension, so it's all just the name. So if there's no file extension, Jupyter notebook does not recognize, so you don't see the color, but you can change that if you want. So this is just plain text, and there are so many functions in here, and this is what is showing up, how many functions. And similarly, we can generate the grid and then add that to the map, just the same stuff we used earlier, right? So you can call the function, you can get the result. If you want to use other function, you just libdoc whatever function here and then provide the parameters, then you should be good to go. If you're trying to use other functions, you can do it as well. So for example, assets, right? So what I need to do is here, assets, take a look. If I run this one, libdoc availability. So just say no. So not all the modules will work. So if you use require.js, if something is not working, you will throw an error. So you just want to you might need to fix that, because all the modules need to have some standard things that you have a function and then export the function so that you can expose the program to the outside so that other people can call the function. And so this is why here in Python we can call the function and get the result and display the result on the map, or you can continue the processing using Python. So just want to then, for example, we just call this access, and let's come back to here, open this one. You might notice that it's modified just now because something has changed. So if I double click, now you see this one here, it has been changed to my file path on my local computer. So it's no longer user/g now whatever, because the library OEL cannot run that directly using the cloud remote path. So it needs to be something on your local file path. So it's going to basically, when you set the require.js function, it's going to go through the entire script, and if it encounter any require function, it's going to replace it. And also if it might need to download the repository if needed. So this is how you can call any other function. So there are a lot more here. You're welcome to try it out. For example, also the other one here, palette. So this is also one of the most popular ones. So for example here, and then lib availability, right? So you see a lot of colors. So those are the things that people are using to customize the map. So for example, palette, and double click, right? So you see so many different colors, so that you don't have to rememorize like what kind of color you want to use. You can directly use something like this. So this is how easy it is for you to do that. So I can show you, for example, once you know the function, then I can just lib dot, for example, cmocen. Right, so it returns a dictionary. So within a dictionary, then I can say, for example, a dictionary for the first one here will be, right, so you can use this directly. If you want to use in Python, you can directly use this as an input. For example, the map.addLayer, or when you want to set the visualization parameters, you can directly pass in this one to available and then use that directly with Python. So in this way, you can mix Python and JavaScript together to enjoy the power of both sides rather than single JavaScript or single Python. Okay, so I think that's pretty much about this tutorial. I hope you are enjoying this new feature and try it out, and it will certainly make your life much easier if you are relying on JavaScript but you also want to try out Python. now you have a way to do that both using gmap and also the open earth engine library. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.